Right now we're on the banks of the Deschutes River. We're gonna be charging the rapids head first as we take on the extreme sport of riverboarding. We're gonna be charging these things in nothing but 3 inches of foam, a helmet, and some courage. It is going to be madness. And all of this is happening right now on the Wildlife. This is single-handedly the most extreme thing I have ever done in my life.
And this is the view from the top of Monkeyfish.
The most prehistoric fish that we can even think of right now.
And that's how it's done! That is one big Dungeness crab.
All over the place. That's all I can do just to hang on. This is the Wildlife.
The Wildlife is presented by Next Adventure.
This stretch of the Deschutes in Central Oregon runs through beautiful Warm Springs Reservation. The first leg gives us the perfect opportunity to get quickly acquainted with the fundamentals needed to ride successfully and safely.
One of the biggest keys to riverboarding is learning how to control your board. And that starts primarily by always staying on top of it, because your board's what protects you from the rocks of the river. Second thing about that is learning to turn, which is where these guys come in. These are the things that kind of act as rudders as you're out there. They turn you, they move you, they propel you. These are pretty key. And then you've got this. This guy is my vessel. This is what's gonna get me from point A to point B.
Flat water, rapids, and strong currents will be mixed throughout my run downstream.
These boards were originally created for people doing swift water rescue. So people get stuck in rapids like this, and people would have to come in with boards just like I'm doing to save them.
The sport of riverboarding has gained popularity all over the world, giving water sports enthusiasts an up-close, intense ride that you don't get on a kayak, canoe, or raft. The board's ability to move quickly downriver makes for a perfect vessel for swift water rescue. The small, controllable craft gets rescuers to a stranded victim in places that a life raft might not be able to reach. The nimble and in-your-face action has created popularity for the sport, with more people taking to the challenge of rivers everywhere around the globe each year. Riverboarders are able to take on the same whitewater rapids that kayakers battle while navigating the fast-moving surface of the water. This extreme sport allows you to feel every single rapid at full speed. A river experience like no other.
Well, go big or go home.
Even on less rapid water, the initial feel of the river's power is felt. All of my muscles will be in play today. For us, the Deschutes is waiting. Time to test the waters and feel this sport out. Before the river gets rough, it's important to know what the board can do to keep us feeling comfortable and prepared for what the Deschutes might have in front of us.
It's definitely a good leg workout. Get out here, kind of kick around, using your core to stabilize your board, and your legs to steer you.
It's similar to body surfing, but the current of the river is much different than the waves in the ocean. My journey downriver has led us through South Junction and got us acquainted with the board. Now we head to Cascella to stretch out my skills on some Class 3 rapids.
Right up here, where you see that little splotch of bubbly water there, that's the first rapid of the day that I'm gonna try and surf. So here we go.
The sport is definitely living up to my expectations. Your vision downriver is only what the rapids allow.
Successfully made it through Cascella. Cascella is a Class 3 rapid. with a bunch of rolling waves after it. And it's kind of tricky on the entrance of it because it shallows out. So you got to get up on your board to protect your body from the rocks. And as soon as the shallow part ends, it's like, boom, you're in the thick of it. You're just hitting the waves, can't see anything. It's not like when you're in a raft and you can see the whole river. You're down here real close to the water, so as soon as the rapid hits, it's right there. So it's easy to be caught by surprise if you're not completely aware. It's pretty awesome. The sport has a great combination of nice extreme intensity. But you also have these nice flat stretches of soft glassy water. You got everything if you want to be out there, an extremist, just loving the adrenaline, or if you just want to have a nice leisurely float. And the beauty of it is being so close to the water. Right here, it's like you're part of the river. You're not dominating or challenging it, you're working with it. You're using all the elements to get a great time out of the day. It's pretty sweet.
Coming up on The Wildlife.
I came in from this side, dropped into it, and was kind of surfing it, and it spit me back out to the sides. Woo!
The Wildlife is presented by Next Adventure.
Right now we're in the south junction of the Deschutes River in Central Oregon. And we got pretty hooked up today because Native Adventures is the only riverboarding outfitter in the state of Oregon. So we've got the gear, we've got the river, and we're good to go.
With this sport, you are only inches off the surface and feet above the rocks of the riverbed.
I have got to give props to the search and rescue guys that do this stuff. You can only imagine what it's like to go through a flooded river with someone stuck on a rock out in the middle of nowhere and try and rescue them with this.
With my legs and fins, I'm able to maneuver upstream on the riverboard, putting us in a perfect place to test my skills. Fighting the current requires me to work like a motor.
This is surfing. Let's take a little bit of a break right now. Just upriver from here, there's a boulder sitting in the middle of the river right there, and all the water's coming out and around the boulder, which makes these nice little curler waves right there. So I came in from this side, dropped into it, and was kind of surfing it, and it spit me back out to the side. So I swam up through the middle and continued to surf it. Got about 15 to 30 seconds of a good ride out of it. It spit me out again, and I just didn't feel like paddling all the way back up through that, kicking into it again, especially since I got White Horse Rapid coming up here in just a little bit. Definitely need to conserve my energy for that guy. It's gonna take everything I've got.
Coming up on The Wildlife.
There's basically a series of rocks with big points sticking up out of the water. You're basically dodging them. They're like giant teeth ready to eat you.
Sunriver is a beautiful resort south of Bend, literally just 20 minutes from Mount Bachelor. And once you come here, it's very family oriented. So we have 30 miles of paved bike paths. There's 2 pools here. There's a lot of tennis courts and just a lot of hiking, and it's a lot of fun.
For a golfer visiting Central Oregon, can you tell me about how great these Sunriver golf courses are?
Well, just in Sunriver, there's 2 public golf courses. And in Central Oregon altogether, there's over a dozen.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere you really drive, there's a golf course.
You've got the Mavericks wave pool here, the recreation center. Tell me about the wave pool.
Well, the wave pool is pretty much a machine that literally creates a wave while you're indoors in the Mavericks facility. We actually have actual tournaments for the wave pool as well.
A surf tournament.
Exactly. Whoever can stay up the longest and so on. So you're literally standing there and the wave comes in and you have to try to stay up.
So when people come here and they stay here for a little while, what are the comments and the feedback that you get from them?
Well, I get a lot of families just loving being able to bring their children here every year and the different activities they can do. And there are a lot of complementary activities like the biking and depending where you're staying, the pools and the tennis courts, everything for anybody.
Well, thank you so much, Clarissa.
Thank you.
The Wildlife is presented by Next Adventure.
Since we're here on the reservation, we came here to the Warm Springs Museum to get a better understanding of the history of the land and the people. So I'm gonna go meet up with Randy right now and figure out what we're doing. Randy, how you doing, bud?
Hey, Jeremy. Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm good, I'm good. So what exactly are we gonna learn today?
We're going to learn about our people here. We got 3 different tribes that are here. We're also going to learn about the land and what we've done, from the past.
Okay.
All
All right, well, let's get started.
Okay.
Let's check it out.
So before this whole thing was erected, basically the tribes came together and had a ceremony, a celebration and stuff. That's basically what these pictures are here, along here. Just like anything else, like the foods and stuff that we had prior. The celebrations to say thanks for the coming of this.
All the traditions that are now a part of the museum.
Yes, exactly. And of course, I was there.
Look at this.
There's a younger portion of me right there.
Now part of the history of the museum.
Part of the history, yes. So besides the tule mat lodges, they also had the wood plank lodges, as you see, as demonstrated here. Down the Columbia River, we used to have quite a few of these before the dam came up.
This is like when they started to become more industrialized and
That's
they had
correct.
mills and things like that.
That's correct.
These are what they would make the lodges out of.
Yep.
And is this wood from the reservation?
This wood is actually from, the reservation back then was all of Central Oregon. There was no Oregon here.
Oh, okay.
So it's not since 1855 when the treaty was signed.
Okay. Wow.
This is a great exhibit of the Celilo Falls area. This basically was our economic foundation where all of our tribes came together. The Warm Springs, the Yakima, the Umatillas come together to do their trading. Throughout the years, they'd bring their berries, their roots, and they'd come down with those and trade here and fish. So can you imagine riverboarding that?
No.
Yeah, you couldn't. It's a class 6.
Yeah,
you'd most definitely die.
That's pretty wicked. We made it through that first stretch of river, and I really got a good feel of the board. So now I've really got some good control, which I'm definitely gonna need, because this next 1.5 miles of river is all rapids. It's gonna be guaranteed to be very extreme.
So we've passed through waters of South Junction, hit some good Class 3 rapids, and surfed at Cascella. Now it's time to get wild as we head face forward into 3 sections of Whitehorse.
So I'm getting ready, getting amped up. My break is over. Now I'm ready to take on those rapids.
Whitehorse is what we came here for. It's the most intense stretch of rapids we will face. It's the test I've been waiting to take on since I arrived. It's the place where the Deschutes will give me all it's got. Here we go! The first section of rapids on Whitehorse are rockin'. It's like wrestling on a roller coaster.
That's the first stretch of White Horse Rapids. It comes in 3 sections, and this is the top section. You just enter through this barrel. There's 2 rocks. You aim right through the middle of those. From that point on, there's basically a series of rocks with big points sticking up out of the water. You're basically dodging them. They're like giant teeth ready to eat you. But you're swerving in and out of them. It's all class 3s and 4s. What can I say? That's why we call it the wildlife.
Round 1 versus White Horse is in the books. Now I need to catch my breath quickly because I have 2 more sets of action-packed rapids right in front of me. And I know that White Horse will do whatever it can to buck me off my board.
Here we go.
Coming up on the wildlife.
A lot of people get tossed around right here. When you're at the bottom, all you see is a wave. When you're at the top, all you see is the sky. You just go tumbling through it. I kind of barrel rolled. White Horse ends with a bang.
So far, White Horse has provided a solid action-packed punch. The lower rapids await.
Section right here that I've really been looking forward to. Kind of thrashes you around and then drops you into this really big hole. A lot of people get tossed around right here. Woo! The last stretch of rapids there was pretty intense. You've got a whole bunch of waves that block your view from everything. When you're at the bottom, all you see is a wave. When you're at the top, all you see is the sky. So you get these little glimpses of what's directly on the other side of the current wave. So I was going through those, rolled a couple times, and then came the big drop. It's just this bowl. And it's a blind horizon, so you can't see what's there. You couldn't see it in the first place. You just go tumbling through it. I kind of barrel rolled, was able to resurface back on top of my board. And that was it. White Horse ends with a bang.
Central Oregon is filled with great adventure and is beautifully displayed for our visitors in Bend.
If you're visiting in Central Oregon, one of my favorite stops is the High Desert Museum. It's got loads of information on the history and the wildlife of the area, and you've got to check it out.
The museum is a perfect place to learn about this unique part of the state.
America's high desert region is very rich in history. And since 1982, the museum has showcased the people, the culture, and the history. But what I'm really here to see today is the wildlife. Huddled up in the back of his home back here is Snowshoe. Snowshoe is a lynx. And the story behind Snowshoe is that Snowshoe was actually raised by a family and then declawed, and they took out the canines in her mouth. And when they couldn't deal with her anymore, they just let her go. And unfortunately, Snowshoe didn't know how to hunt, how to do any of those things. So Snowshoe walked up to a group of hikers and started to make friends, which you can imagine would be a little bit unsettling. So Snowshoe was brought here. One of the coolest attractions here at the High Desert Museum has to be the animals. People come from all over the place to see these things in action. And today I have the very special opportunity of welcoming a special guest. This is a Harris hawk, one of the most amazing creatures I've ever been so fortunate to be so close to. These guys actually live here in the high desert. One of the really cool things about them is that they are the only bird of prey in the world that hunts in packs.
To be this close to so many birds that you usually see flying above is breathtaking.
Now over here in the area where they have the birds of prey, we've got a really special find. 2 bald eagles, the national symbol for the United States of America. Now I've seen these things at a distance and I've seen them flying overhead, but I've never been this close. And these are some of the biggest birds of prey out there with wingspans that can get up to 7.5 feet wide. That's longer than I am tall. You can see the female over here on the right, and they're usually bigger, but this is pretty amazing right here.
The exhibits at the High Desert Museum are educational and inviting for all to see.
Woo! Hey there, grandfather. It's me again. Well, every adventure that I ever go on, I'm trying to get closer and closer to the action. And I don't know if it's possible to get any closer than I did today. Riverboarding is in your face, literally. I'd be going through rapids and just get smacked. I can't see anything. It was extreme. It was probably so extreme, I don't know if you'd want to try it. Maybe we'll have to see on that one. But it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The Wildlife is presented by Next Adventure.